Imagine a world without deep house. A life beyond eloquent harmonies synthesized for healing, loving, and dancing gracefully underneath God's skies. We exist so deep house manifests our souls beyond our imagination. It haunts me consistently that love is only known by the ones who listen to deep house. Because in these perfected mirrors, nothing is as it seems nor seeks, except for the soulful sounds of the house so deep it no longer sings. We drown ourselves in soulful harmonies, bury deep house underneath our skins, because to us, there is no room to be alive outside of the deep house world. This is the Deep House Lounge.
Take a moment to immerse yourself and leap into the groove when it resonates perfectly. Get comfortable and unwind as Eddie King and the squad take the
Welcome
wheel.
to another electrifying episode of the Deep House Lounge podcast. I know you're wondering what is going on, who am I? Because usually the man sitting next to me is in charge and is your host. Well, today we are shooting the final episode of season 1. We're closing down the Deep House Lounge podcast season 1 for 2023. So today I will be your host. My name is Wuntle Vanessa Puta, aka Madam Blue, and I'm the director of the Deep House Lounge podcast. And we're coming to you from Imbalisto Kawash, which is our home where they serve great food and the best kawashing services. Now let's get into the business of the day. We're getting to know our host. We're recapping from episode 1 until episode 22, and also we're talking more on highlights and future plans of the podcast. Introducing to you our founder, our executive producer, media extraordinaire, DJ, and your host for this podcast. I call him Edward. Kamlako Edward.
The real name.
ID name. Your name is Edward, but the people at home know you as Eddie King.
Yes.
Welcome to your podcast. How are you feeling?
Great. I'm excited to be on the other side.
Yeah, I saw. When you arrived here, you were very excited because
And
today
No
you're the
pressure,
guest.
you know.
Exactly. So,
Thank you for having me here.
oh, thank you for coming. We're matching.
Oh yeah,
It's a great vibe. It's a podcast thing.
Yeah.
It's a podcast
Giddy
thing.
vibes.
Definitely. So let's get into the business. Who is Eddie King and what are you all about?
Eddie King is a guy from Siabuswa.
Uh-huh.
I grew up in Siabuswa, but I was born in Limpopo. I'm all about deep house music, actually. I'm a radio personality by profession, and also I'm a DJ. I do produce sometimes, but my beats are not ready for people. So I'm all about the deep house. If you see deep house, just know that you might find me there. I might be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically you are within the media space, the media industry and all of that. But I want to know the basics, the music. When did the music bug bite you?
We grew up listening to radio. I grew up listening to radio. So they would play different songs, but back in the day I used to love house music because deep house music was not that much popular, so I would listen to house music only. It was the times where we still had the late Pocho Mucho, when we still had different guys. Some of them are still alive. So the music back, the deep house music actually got to me around 2005 when me and my high school friends decided to form a team, to become a team. So what happened is, or how it got into me, is that we were resident DJs at a certain tavern. So we had to play all the music to cover everyone. So I decided to play deep house music. That's when I started listening and playing deep house music, because the commercial and the other music genres, they went for me, but deep house.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how has the music space, how has the evolution of music changed or made you look at deep house music in a different way? Because people now are now listening to Amapiano, they're changing industries and whatever. But how has the evolution made you look at deep house music as a whole?
We now have something called 3-step.
Yes, we do.
We are busy people.
Yes, we do.
But one thing about house music is that the entire globally they look up to us when they need house music. They check South Africa, what's currently happening in South Africa. So they see us as the leaders in the house music space. If you look at the Amapiano, it's doing great overseas. It's doing great also locally.
Yes.
So I believe that we are moving towards the right direction, because now we can get our music out there to people. Not only are we serving our locals or the South Africans only, but we can now serve people in UK. We can now have people going out to perform Amapiano in UK. We now have people who can go out and perform a deep house song in Portugal.
True.
Yeah, so there's growth. There's growth.
There's definitely growth. There has been a lot of growth.
Yeah.
Even though some other producers or DJs, they jump from deep house, they go to Amapiano.
Yeah, I've seen a lot, eh?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot.
But you seem rooted in the deep house music space. You seem very rooted enough so that you started a podcast.
Yes.
So tell me, how did the idea of an old deep house music podcast come about?
If you look at music generally, the artists, they do get time to be interviewed on radio. They do get some time to be interviewed on TV.
Yes.
But we can count how many deep house producers were interviewed on radio, how many were interviewed on TV. They don't have that space whereby they can go and actually play their music and talk about how they make music, why they make music, what is the sound they use when they produce music. So I decided to sit down and come up with a way of which we can also give the deep house producers, the singers and the DJs a platform where they can also voice out what they feel when they're in studio, how they make music and everything in line with that. So I started the podcast because I saw that there is a gap in the market. Deep house producers, singers, they don't get to be interviewed. So we want to interview them. We want to give them the space to talk about their music as well.
Yeah, but people are gonna ask. I mean, someone did ask me behind the scenes, Uti, out of all the music genres, you could have chosen the biggest one in the country right now, which is Amapiano, because it's very popular. But you decided to choose deep house music.
Yeah.
And I remember asking you earlier this year, before I joined the team, Uti, aren't you going to expand? Don't you think that deep house music has, limited opportunities or slim places, stuff like that? And you we're still rooted in saying deep house music. So why deep house music? Apart from the fact that we don't have so many opportunities out there, why deep house music?
I've spent most of my music time listening to deep house. I believe out of all the music genres that we have, I know deep house more than anything. I know deep house producers more than I know Amapiano producers or other music producers. So I chose deep house because it's something that I understand. It's something I've been following ever since. So that's one music genre that I know. So I chose deep house music.
And deep house from now until
forever.
Forever.
If you look at deep house music, we've had so many sub-genres in the house music scene. Some faded out, some came in and faded out, but deep house was forever there. So it's one sub-genre that is going nowhere. I normally hear people saying deep house is dead, deep house this and that. I still believe that deep house is there. We still have producers who produce deep house music.
True.
Whether there is a new sub-genre that is currently trending or not, but we still have deep house producers. So deep house for me is going nowhere.
Deep house is here forever.
Yes.
It is here to stay.
Yes.
Naganja. Okay, so let's dive deep into the process of you starting the podcast.
Yeah.
It's not easy, I know, but the podcast industry has been growing in numbers daily in South Africa.
Yeah.
And you suddenly got the idea of starting an old deep house music.
Yes.
But I know getting the cameras, getting the mics and all that wasn't easy.
Yeah.
But when did you start it? And how was it starting out? What did you need? One wet down when you started the podcast?
The podcast actually, it started as an idea. And then when I looked at the space that we are currently in, where we've got technology, I saw that there is a gap. Because many people in radio, they are saying podcasts are threatening radio.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, because now I'm already on radio, how about I jump into the podcasting space? So that when people start realizing that there's actually enough space for podcasting, I'm already there doing it. So it started as an idea, but the idea was a bit rough. I had to polish it. It took me about 2 to 3 years to actually polish it to be what I wanted to be, the Deep House Lounge.
Okay.
So it was up until this year, around winter, when I decided that now I'm ready to start the Deep House Lounge podcast. That's when I started the podcast. The push was, I want to be one of the first few people who are doing Deep House podcasts. Because we don't have much in South Africa.
We don't.
We've got so many people who are doing podcasts, but we don't have much people who are talking about deep house music.
True.
So I decided to jump in and actually go with it. So with the equipment,
Rough.
it was rough.
It was a lot.
I don't want to lie. Fortunate enough, before starting the podcast, I used to tell my friends the idea of the podcast.
Yeah.
And luckily, one of my friends had a camera. It was not a high quality camera, but he had a camera.
Yeah.
And then he gave me the camera. Another one also came in and said, I also have a camera in a certain location. You can go fetch it. I went, fetched the camera.
Talking about real friends.
Yeah, friends. They gave me 2 cameras. Then I had to hustle a mic. From my own pockets, I had to buy audio equipment. And when I bought audio equipment, I had some laptops that were not working. I had to fix them so that I can obtain sound. I did that. And then I met Mbalisto. Mbalisto then said, you can use my space for recording. You can use my space. You can come film at Mbalisto at any time.
Yes.
I can give you Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because those are not the busy days. Remember when it started, we were filming at our studio.
Yes.
We then had to move to Mbalisto. He has shown so much support, not only by offering the place, but he has shown enough support also on the idea, on how I can move forward with this idea. What is it that I can do, suggestions and everything. He's one guy, I believe, who knows the podcast from point A to point Z. He knows everything about the podcast. He's one guy I talk to a lot. Yeah.
Talking about mentor and partner, he's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
He is, and we're very thankful to him for having him on the team.
So much.
So you got the equipment, you got everything.
Yeah.
What's next? We know Wuti, you're gonna start by yourself, but must have this cat, as the time goes on. You're gonna need someone that you're gonna work with.
Yeah.
So what happened then?
After getting everything I needed, I then had to come up with a team. I then had to go back and look at the people I know, because I've been on radio for a very long time.
Yes.
I had to go back and said, I once worked with this so-and-so person doing this and that. How about I pitch the idea and ask them to be part of the team?
Yes.
That's how my team started. And then they suggested, there were suggestions there and there, because I needed a voiceover artist, I needed a producer, I needed a runner, I needed a camera operator, I needed someone to deal with the lights. So that's how the team came about.
Check us out on the following social media platforms: Spotify, YouTube, Facebook at the Deep House Lounge.
Okay, so people were referred, and the team has to come up.
Yeah.
Who is on your team?
On my team, firstly, I have Eddie King, and I also have Buntle, Madam Blue. I have Anonymous, Leia. I have Muhao, Mr. Brains. I have Rosby, DJ Rosby. So that my team consists of 5 people who are actually there whenever we record. Then we've got 2 people who function as advisors. One is in Cape Town, Sizwe Guraf on Facebook, Junior as a producer. He is a deep house music producer. And then we also have Sydney Balisto. Those people function as advisors to the podcast.
Talk about a whole team and a whole squad. So that is the squad.
That is the squad.
Oh.
We still need some few people who are going to manage things whenever we are recording. So maybe next year we might hire.
Maybe. We're still thinking about it.
Yeah, me and the manager are still talking about it.
Okay, now let's take it back to episode 1. From episode 1 to episode 5, I remember I even watched all the episodes the other day, and you were in a studio.
Yeah.
What was happening then? Take us through that moment. Take us through those episodes. What was happening there?
after coming up with the team, we had to record the first episode. The challenge was, where are we going to record the episode? So I went home, I told them about the idea. Fortunate enough, there is a house that we are not using. They said to me, you can go there, set up your studio and record your episodes. And I was like, great plan. We're going to record there. We started doing the setups and everything was okay. We started recording episode 1. But we came across different challenges. We couldn't even release episode 1 because it was incomplete. You know, whenever you're doing something for the very first time, you should have room for disappointments.
True.
So we had room for disappointments. I told the team after packaging that we're not going to release episode 1 because so many things are missing. The camera didn't capture this, sound, audio, we didn't capture this and that, so we're not releasing. So we started releasing episode 2. We did episode 2 at our studio and other episodes. So that's where we were learning. We gave ourselves time to learn. Let's learn how to do a podcast, because what we knew, most of us, is how to present.
Yes.
How to come up with content. Now we were learning how to do a podcast. Then we did those episodes. It wasn't easy. Because we were learning as we go.
True.
We make a mistake, it's on the spot, everyone will see it, and then we run with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you made it here, right?
Yeah.
22 episodes later. 22 episodes later.
Now I can tell that we have some professionals in here.
Of course.
Have
I'm,
some
I'm
professionals
sitting
in here.
right here. I'm a professional.
You know.
Thank you. So let's talk about the podcast. The idea is here. The equipment is here. Now, the most important thing is the music.
Yes.
The deep house music.
Yes.
So take us through the music compiling and the research of the entire music for the podcast.
You know what? Deep house music is big, I have to say. Music compiling, deep house producers, they give us EPs or albums each and every week.
True.
There's new music each and every week that is out there. So what happened is, when we started from episode 1 until episode, I think, 10, I went back to my Facebook page. I then checked who are the guys that I was playing back then. Which producers was I playing back in the day? So I started there doing my research on music. What are they doing now? What's happening? What's new? What's out there? Then what I would do is I would also check who they feature. I would also check out the guys that they feature on their EPs or albums or singles. And then I started doing my compilation of music. That's how I compiled music. Yeah.
Talk about a professional. That's also professionalism.
Yeah.
You put in the research because you know that the people deserve this music.
Yes.
And that's why I remember you saying you are all about unearthing all the deep house songs that people don't know existed.
Yes.
Like segments like Umgongo.
Yeah.
I always wonder, where do you dig out the artist? Like how do you do that? How do you get to all those deep house artists that we don't even know about?
As broad as deep house is, if you are on social media, there are a whole lot of guys who are posting their studio work. Thanks to technology now, they can go live on their videos. Then I start doing my research on social media. I use Facebook, I use TikTok, I use Instagram, I use YouTube, I use Spotify, I use recording labels to check out those guys. And as you said, we are all about unearthing deep house songs that people didn't know they exist. So what we do is we search more for the unknown guys. We're trying to expose those guys. So we come across an album which is by a popular producer. Yes, we do compile it and have 1 or 2 songs on our podcast, but many songs that we play on our segments is songs from guys that we don't know. Yeah.
Interesting. So I'm guessing that's how other segments like classic and remix, classics to remember, to remind people rather, Uguti, there's deep house songs that we're playing back in the day, and they're still here, they're still making us dance. So on that, we want to know, me and the squad and the listeners at home, we want to know your all-time favorite classic deep house song. Hey.
Do I have to choose one?
You have to choose one. You really do have to choose one, because we know there's so many episode 2, episode 22, but you have to choose one specific one that resonates with your soul.
if I were to choose one song as my all-time favorite classic, it will have to be Rocco. Something for the dance floor. That would be my all-time favorite classic. That song, I used to play that song almost every week whenever I'm out DJing in a place. I would pump that song so hard. It talks to me.
So they would know you as Eddie as something for the floor.
If you hear something for the floor, just know that I'm up there now.
It's Eddie King. Eddie
Yeah.
King is playing.
Eddie King is here now.
Eddie King is
I'm
playing.
about to throw bombs.
Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
The Deep House Lounge Classic of the Week.
This is the Deep House Lounge.
The Deep House Lounge Classic of the Week.
This is the Deep House Lounge with Eddie King and the squad.
Take a moment to immerse yourself and leap into the groove when it resonates perfectly. Get comfortable and unwind as Eddie King and the squad take the wheel.
So that is an amazing track. And as I said, Guti, they know you as something for the floor, Eddie King.
Yeah. You know.
But let's talk about who inspires you and your work.
The thing, I'm inspired by myself. I'm actually proud of the things I've achieved in my life. Regarding the podcast, I'm also inspired by myself.
Ooh, okay.
Because regarding the podcast, there are a lot of meetings that are happening here. There are executive meetings that are happening here. There are staff meetings that are happening here. So many things are happening here. So I'm inspired by myself.
You're inspired by yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, who better than yourself?
You know.
And you have to get better from the person that you were yesterday. So
Yes.
that is motivation on its own, that you have to inspire yourself and your work.
They normally say you should compete with the person in the mirror.
Yes.
That's me.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's how it is. Sydney. So let's talk about the Mbalisto Car Wash partnership. You mentioned earlier that Mr. Sydney, who's the owner of Mbalisto Car Wash, agreed that you can use this place to also shoot content and do whatever it is that you like. But what exactly is Mbalisto, and how is Mbalisto and the Deep House Lounge associated?
Okay. Some car Mbalisto Car Wash Food and it's a place that offers some car washing services, food and drinks. They've got a beautiful space which is more like a garden. So if you come to Mbalisto for a car wash, you will relax in a garden while they wash your car, and then you grab something to eat and something to drink, right? So when I was he then talking to Mbalisto about the idea of the Deep House Lounge podcast FM. He then said to me, you know, I once had an idea of having Mbalisto FM. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe we can run that through the podcast.
Yes.
He then also mentioned that the music that he would like to play at Mbalisto Car Wash is deep house music. And I was like, okay, this is a perfect place for the podcast, because if he has future plans of owning Mbalisto FM, we already have a podcast which we can convert to a radio station, an online radio station, or that Mbalisto Car Wash, but not Mbalisto Car Wash FM or the Deep House Lounge and Mbalisto what, you know. So that's how the collaboration came about. One thing about Mbalisto Car Wash is that the owner believed so much in the idea of the podcast. The reason why we are now in front of this beautiful wall is because he believed so much. He pushed me to say, continue doing that. It's a good thing. We need something like that here at Mbalisto. And we had a painting. Yeah.
We have a painter, we have banners, we have this amazing venue that we can use to shoot.
Yes.
And we shoot every Wednesday, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, we're thankful to him again. We're
Thanks
thankful to
Mbalisto,
him.
right?
Thank you, Mr. Sydney. Thank you so much. So in the podcast, there is the segment called Remix of the Week.
Yes.
Now, what is your favorite remixed deep house song? Hey,
On this podcast, we play so much music, eh?
we do.
Love. On this podcast, we played episodes, so many songs that I love. There's one song, I can't remember which episode, but there's one song we played, which is a remix of Fatela, originally by Amos, featuring Ami Faku. We played a remix that is done by DJ Expo SA, the mid-tempo remix. That's my favorite remix. My favorite all-time remix.
Now we have something special from one of our biggest fans of the podcast. He's been supporting us from the inception of the podcast up until this day. You see him commenting on our social media pages, you see him liking, and he gives feedback. Even when we do wrong, he's the one person as OT. This is where you guys, went off ramp. So I'm gonna play the message for you.
Okay.
You're gonna listen to it. And then you're gonna tell us what you think and how the relationship with this guy.
Okay.
Don't be scared. Why do you look like you're scared?
Who's that guy?
You're wondering?
Yeah, I'm wondering.
Well, think of a top fan that the Deep House Lounge podcast has.
The thing is, with our supporters, we've got so many supporters. Some of them, they would request to chill with me and tell me how much they love the Deep House Lounge. Some of them would express that through comments on Facebook. So I'm puzzled. I don't know who that is.
I think you know him very well, but I'm not sure if you've met him or not. His name is Calvin Mkala.
I met him. Oh,
His
that
name
one
is
drove all the
Calvin.
way from Denelton to here
Yes.
to see Mbalisto Car Wash and actually meet Eddie King.
That is Calvin
Oh.
Mkala, our biggest fan.
Our biggest fan.
Biggest fan of the podcast.
Yeah,
So he
yeah.
has a message for you.
Okay.
And this is what he had to say.
Chocho, it's Calvin Mkala. I want to congratulate Eddie King and the crew for the progress they have achieved with the podcast, The Deep House Lounge. I have been a fan since from episode 1 till this day. One thing I love most about the podcast is the consistency and the growth. To Eddie King, keep inspiring, and most important, success is when one enriches others. Never doubt yourself and the team. I wish to see you reaching the highest potential with your podcast. We are the Deep House Lounge.
Now that was Calvin Mkala, one of the biggest fans, biggest supporters of the Deep House Lounge podcast.
Yeah.
You heard the message.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's funny because I met Calvin Mkala through La4 SA. La4 SA booked Eddie King to one of their sessions that they had in Denelton. But La4 SA did mention to me that he is working with this other guy. So when we got there, that's when I got to meet Calvin Mkala. From that day, he has been supporting me. If I can go through my WhatsApp, you will see the messages. He's one guy, whenever I'm feeling down, he's one guy who lifts me up. He would send me a message and be like, you know what, bro, you are on the right track. Keep on going. Don't stop. To you, Calvin Mkala, you've been a fan. You've been following the Deep House Lounge. Thank you so much. One thing I promise you is that we won't disappoint and something big is coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much to our biggest fan.
Many thanks.
Please keep on supporting us. We appreciate it. We appreciate your support all the way through. Now, we have some segments on the podcast.
Yeah.
So I would love for you to break it down to our listeners and our fans.
Okay.
We have this one. The first time you mentioned the word, I was a bit puzzled. What is umgongo? What is umgongo?
Okay. According to me, umgongo is an old radio that we used to play music. According to me, it would be like one item which has a space for cassette. On the sides, it's speakers. At the top, it's radio. So if you want to play cassettes, you have your part where you insert the cassette and you press play and you press stop and rewind and forward. On the sides, it's speakers.
Okay.
At the top, that's where you switch your radio and the volume.
So that is umgongo.
According to me.
Okay.
Yeah,
umgongo.
umgongo. So ziyawa ke lapha ziyawa. Ziyawa.
A lot is happening.
I believe umgongo works better in summer. You can just take it. It uses battery. You just take it, go sit under a tree and play deep house the entire day with your cold bottle of water. You know.
So that inspired the name of the segment,
Yes,
umgongo as well. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
If you can listen to umgongo, ziyawa.
All
We
the
play
way.
3 songs back to back. We don't stop.
We don't stop.
Ziyawa.
Deep house music all the way through.
All the way through.
Okay,
Yeah.
now there's this new segment that we've just introduced a few episodes away,
Yeah.
and it's called Sound Sculptured.
Yes.
Now remember, on that day, it was recording day, and we are searching on the internet, what do we call
Yeah,
this new
yeah.
segment? We want to make sure that the segment captivates
Yeah.
the Deep House Lounge podcast as a whole. So what is the Sound Sculptured all about?
Sound sculptured. Remember when you were asking me about the music research, I said to you, whenever I do my research, I also check who was featured on the album, on the EP, or on the single. So Sound Sculptured caters for those guys who are still trying to make it in the industry. Those guys who are featured by the top dogs. We check the feature and search their music so that we can also expose them to give them that push into the industry. That's Sound Sculptured.
That is Sound Sculptured.
Yes.
Perfectly tailored or perfectly tailored for all the deep house upcomers upcoming artists that we should definitely know about.
Yeah.
So you are a brain master.
Yeah, master, I would take that.
Yeah, you're a master. You're a master of the thing. You really did sit down and properly think about
Yeah.
what you want to serve to the people who listen and to love deep house music. This is really different.
Yeah.
This is different. I remember we were talking about how to make it special,
Yes.
because there's so many platforms that cater for deep house producers, deep house music lovers, but we had to sit down and come up with something that is
Yeah.
going to be different and unique.
Yeah.
So you nailed it on the head.
Thank you.
You nailed on the head.
Thank you very
Well
much.
done. Now we have one last surprise.
Okay. How many surprises do we have?
Oh, this is the last one.
Oh.
I promise. This is the last one. You mentioned someone who is part of the squad. You said he's in Cape Town.
Yeah.
And he's a mentor. We haven't seen him in a very long time.
Yeah.
But he's one person who's always in communication with us, motivating us, guiding us on actually what to do to the podcast.
Yeah.
So he also sent a message, a beautiful message dedicated just to you.
Okay.
He was telling you on the message, which you'll listen,
Okay.
that he's very proud of you. So you're going to listen to it. This message is from a very close friend of his. His name is Sizwe. People know him as Meg Deep.
Yeah.
Some know him as Donald Juni, but he is part of the squad.
He is Guraf on Facebook.
Yes, he is.
Kunjani mfethu, the king, the myth, the legend. Today I would like to leave you a message. Thank you for giving us a great show on the Deep House Lounge. I would like to say from the word go, from the start, when you told me the idea, when you told me the name, the Deep House Lounge, that name made so much sense. It made so much sense in such a way that I started visualizing where the brand is going. I started seeing it happening. I started seeing a lot of things, and I didn't have any doubt in your voice when you told me. I still remember till now, and I'm happy that you still kept going, and I'm really proud of how far you've gone. You really motivate me in such a way that you have what I'm still working on, which is consistency. I would like to say big up on that. I would say keep up the good work. I'd like to let you know that you have such a wonderful team. Your team is one of the best teams. Your team is standard lazy say vision yale brand. So even yourself, I think you should keep on pushing this brand. It is motivating me myself. I'm sure it's motivating a lot of other people out there. It's just that some people haven't said it to you. Also, what I would like to say is that in each and everything that we start, whether a business or a brand or anything, mangabe mayingaqala smoothly, khohlwa ngayo. But if mayicala yaqala kwabanzima, kwadinga ukuthi manje nawe soyatesteka, semele ubekezele, semele wenzeni, bro, that is the golden that's the golden brand. What I'm saying is that you motivate me and keep on doing what you're doing, because the more you push, nami esayidini lami eceleni, is the more I push, because I can see good, my friend is basically doing it. Flip, I have to do it. I have to do it now. You understand? So I'd like to say continue, Brawam, ungalahli. And there's also one thing that I noticed one thing that I noticed and learned through you and through the Deep House Lounge is that in life, sometimes again, maybe the numbers are not in the place la wafuna kona yet, but that's not a reason to even doubt anything. Any into which is unpredictable is iluck. Intant. That you never know which is aksasa or is next week. So all you have to do is to keep on pushing, Brawam. Intlantla yako might come next week. Intlantla yako might come anytime. So keep on pushing, Brawami. And one advice that I would like to give you, one greatest advice that I would like to give you is do not forget to cheat your fears, break up with your doubts, and marry your dreams. Away.
This is the Deep House Lounge with Eddie King and the squad.
That was a beautiful, beautiful message from a very close friend of Edward, as I know him. He is Donald Juni. He's a music producer, and he is also part of the squad. My friend, you heard what he said.
Yeah.
That was quite emotional.
Very.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say, man, because Donald Juni has been sending me lengthy messages, voice notes, explaining how much I inspire him, explaining how much I should continue pushing the podcast. If he's more like Calvin. If I were to show you our WhatsApp text, you would see that what he's saying is true. After me saying I want to start a podcast called The Deep House Lounge, he immediately got it. He was in there already. He saw where I want to go. So he's one guy who has been pushing and inspiring me a lot to continue going. And he also mentioned the team. I have to say thanks to the team. Thank you so much, guys, for making sure that we give people what we want to give people, the way we want to give it to people. Thank you so much, guys. I remember in one of our meetings, we were mentioning Indabayama opinions from people, how people would like to see the podcast, what is it they think we should change and all that. And you guys are forever saying, yeah, we should try that out. This is how we can do things. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much.
All right, so last episode,
Yeah.
which was the 22nd episode, we had our first guest.
Yes.
I remember earlier on the year, we had another guest, but the recording process was a bit difficult.
Yeah.
So the other week, we finally had an entire episode with guests.
Yes.
Please share some highlights of our very episode with guests in the podcast.
One thing about guests is, I don't know. When you perform on stage, they call it stage fright. So I think when on a podcast is camera fright or something. We do have so many guests lined up for the podcast, but then there would be a sudden change. One band is no longer coming. I don't know what's wrong.
Yeah.
But I understand. As a Deep House person, I understand. Deep House people, they are okay with remaining anonymous and just sending out their music only, which is one thing of which we are facing whenever we try to hook up a guest for the episode. So we had our first guest, a trio, Session Madness 0472. Everything went according to plan. I was so happy. Honestly.
Such a relief.
Yeah, because we tried it before, it didn't work out. So this time we just had one run and everything was okay. And I was like, okay, I think now we are ready to host our guest. So to the public, wherever you are into Deep House music, you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram, TikTok as well. Full episodes are on YouTube and Spotify, the Deep House Lounge. If you would like to chill here with us and talk about your music, you are more than welcome. We are also on Facebook as the Deep House Lounge. We would like to have more guests.
Look at him being the host again when he's supposed to be the guest. He's supposed to be the guest, but he's out here being the executive producer. Some people,
I apologize.
it's okay. I mean, it was amazing for me. Us having to host 3 people at the same time for the first time. That was quite the biggest highlight of the podcast for me.
Yeah.
So what was the biggest highlight of the podcast for you?
Being able to obtain sound and video. That was my highlight. Because over and above all, what keeps on stressing me whenever we're recording our episodes is how we obtain sound and how we obtain video, capture the video. So my highlight was we were able to do that effortlessly, even though you guys were running around, but everything went well. We were able to release an episode with guests. So that was my highlight.
We learned, we grew a lot from the podcast. I remember I had no clue how to operate a camera, how the switch on button, the switch off, what's happening, but I definitely learned a lot about videography and sound. Oh, thanks to you.
Now you can go take pictures and make money.
Oh yeah, that's another idea. I'm now a photographer.
Okay.
Book me.
Vanessa Puda on Facebook.
Yes.
Photographer.
Book me on all social media platforms. Now, what are the goals? Where are we heading to as the Deep House Lounge podcast? Yes.
You want the short term or the long term?
Give us everything. Give us everything. Give us the major plan, the big picture of the podcast.
Okay. The bigger picture of the podcast, we are supposed to have our own radio station. I remember in one of the interviews I mentioned this and they were all surprised with Ukhulumanganu 8. Okay. I would like us to have a commercial radio station in community of interest. A radio station that would strictly play deep house music but do everything that is happening on radio. Have news, have your current affairs, have everything, but the music we play is only deep house. Yeah.
Okay.
I would also like us to have a TV where we can visit different events, show people what happened at a previous event where Smang was playing. Also have on the channel actually have the Deep House guys coming through for something like this, for an engagement where we talk about their music, where we talk about the new albums that they just released or EP or a single, you know. So if we were to own a radio station and a TV channel, that would be a dream come true. Yeah.
Wow, talk about goals. Talk about proper
Yeah.
goals, and the future is bright, man. We are definitely gonna do it. We're still gonna be
I need my shades.
we're still gonna be here. That's how bright it is.
Yeah,
It's
too
way too bright. It's
Yeah.
way too bright. Now we have something special coming up next weekend.
Okay.
What is happening next weekend on the 16th? What's happening? What's going on?
You know, wherever there's growth, you will find me.
Oh, definitely.
So I believe the next weekend we are about to grow again.
Yes.
We are invited to a deep house event that is happening from 12 p.m. Until the next day
Yeah.
at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
It's deep house the entire day, the entire night. So we were requested to go there and interview the main acts and some of the local DJs that are booked there. So we will be chilling, talking to the likes of DJ Deep Essentials, the likes of Fatso 98 and other guys who are booked
Yes.
at an event. The event is called A Night with Session Madness 0472. So that's where we will be having our entire setup, our merchandise and everything we need, chilling there and talking to the guys.
And then after that, what is it? Are we closing? What's happening?
Whatever everything we are going to capture on that event, it will come up in a form of series. So there will be every Sunday, because we release every Sunday. Every Sunday we are going to release what we captured at A Night with Session Madness 0472. So people should be ready for a series, a mini series, which will take about 4 to 5 weeks, I think. 4 to 5 weeks, and then we cover everything that happened on the 16th of December at Honesty Bar and Grill. Yeah.
And then so that's exactly what you're going to be listening to or watching on YouTube, because we're going to be on a production break.
Yeah.
We need to rest.
We're going to work one day for like 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
How
So
hard it
excited. But I believe that's also a time where we need to regroup,
Yeah.
to grow, to acquire all some skills that we need, because next year is going to be bigger and better, and there's so many things happening.
Yes.
Any message that you'd want to share with the fans, with the followers, wherever they are in the country?
I was looking at our statistics on YouTube, on our platforms actually. Let me just say platforms. And how old are we? We are 22 weeks old. And I believe we have more than 700 followers already.
Yes.
Across all platforms.
Yes.
So it shows that we are growing. To all the guys who are following us on different social media platforms, who are following us on YouTube and Spotify, thank you so much, guys. This is what we do. This is what we do on this podcast. There's more that we have for you. The only thing between us and the growth that we have is time. We have to be patient. As you saw, from episode 10, we decided to expand.
Yes.
Episode 20, we expand. So that's our plan. That's how we expand. So we've got more coming. Keep on checking us out. You will be amazed. That's all I can say. And thank you so much for following us on different social media platforms.
A big thank you.
Before I take your job.
Don't take my job again. Don't take my job. But a big thank you to you for allowing me to be part of the squad. I mean, I've always said I don't want to be in front of the camera. I want to be behind the scenes. But today was different.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed it. But I must say you do it better than me. So
You're doing good.
No.
I think you should remain there. I'll run around.
No.
What are you doing behind the scenes?
I'm good directing. I'm good being behind the camera.
Oh.
That is my thing.
You could also presenting. I'll direct. Fine.
No, I'm trying. I think it's your job.
Okay.
You do it. You're the master. You know deep house music better.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think?
You got. No, I know.
Okay.
You got this.
Okay.
You got. But from me, Buntle Vanessa Puta, aka Madam Blue, thank you so much to all of you who've been listening from Spotify or watching from YouTube. Thank you so much for following us, for loving us, for contacting us, for giving us feedback about the podcast. This has been the 23rd episode. closing down season 1 of the Deep House Lounge podcast. From me and the squad, don't forget to cheat your fears, break up with your dreams, and
Marry your dreams.
it's a wrap.
Hi, this is Tandega from Bloemfontein, and this is the Deep House Lounge.
Oh yeah, this is your boy Lucky Chawangu from Wadlaulale.
Hi, this is Taina Mnyela from Leidenbeck, famously known as D.
This is Uncle Pro from A2FM.
This is Slipper from Barala.
Hey yo, what you say? This is Francola Spectre, you know what it is. Dan Rothchain, Davidson, Water.
Hi, this is Hotato from Germiston.
Hey yo, what's up? This is Marvin Mr. April for Castle Clouds.
This is Antoinette K, author and filmmaker.
This is Bafana from Butterfly.
This is Gugu from Devon G.
It's your boy Ray Jr. from Verena.
This is Tyrizar from 1022.
Hey there, this is Lafo SA.
This is your boy Donald Juni, aka Gura. I'm in Cape Town and you're checking out the Deep House Lounge. Enjoy.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode. We look forward to reconnecting with you
on the next one.